to the JoyScore podcast. My name is Graham. Today, I'm joined by Dr. B and Anya. Today, we are continuing our talk on the Time Magazine special, The Science of Happiness. And today, we are looking at second chapter called Secrets of a Happier Life. So, in this chapter, what we're learning about is different lifestyles, different ways to spend your time and where to put your attention correctly to have a more joyful and happy life. So I always like to start an episode with a quote. So a quote here I have from the article is, "You live by the faulty theory that if you want to succeed, you need to continually be getting things done and moving on to the next goal as quickly as possible." Now, would you guys say you live by this so-called faulty theory right now?
Sure, right now, yeah. But I think it's just because of college and like assignments, and you always have to get things done. So
Interesting. So you feel like you're living that lifestyle because it's kind of been forced on you.
it's forced onto me. I
Very
wouldn't
Well,
necessarily,
interesting.
yeah, I
so,
don't necessarily live by it, but
okay, so think of it, even though you feel it's forced on you, but that is perhaps a formula for success, where you kind of, number one, you got to have a list of things to do and then prioritize it. So I have lived that or with that principle all my life, and found that to be a formula for success. I've tried to teach it to my students, my employees, everybody around me. So you kind of may feel now that it's forced upon you, but if it becomes your normal way of doing things or normal way of life, then you obviously would just succeed. Nothing can stop you.
don't you think like having a bigger goal sometimes is good, like breaking your bigger goal into smaller goals, but the ultimate goal is the same? You know what
Yeah,
I'm
so
saying?
so bigger goal, like I want to give you, 20 years ago, I went to Harvard Business School and I had multiple companies. I was the chairman of the Department of Design and a lot of responsibility. But the the thing I learned that even though you have a bigger goal, you still need to have a written plan of action every day. And that plan of action somehow fits in and leads you to that bigger goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can, let's say, whatever the big goal is or big idea is, you cannot achieve it in one day. You have to slowly work toward that goal every day. And that's how you achieve it.
Yeah.
So the thing which really impressed me, although I had been making the list myself, been teaching my students time management, make you should make a list, prioritize, and all that stuff. But the thing which amazed me was, what is net worth? Did I talk about this doctrine from Harvard Business School, where
I'm not sure.
okay, so you know what is net worth?
Like networking.
No, net worth.
Oh, net
That
worth. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Net worth. Yes.
you know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
It's like your total assets and everything you own, basically, and all the
Right,
money you have. Yeah.
right. So what you have minus your liabilities,
Mm-hmm.
like loans.
Yeah.
So if you have $100 as your asset and $50 is owed to your brother,
Yeah.
then your
My
net
network
worth
is,
is only 50
yeah.
because 50 is owed. So Harvard Business School deals with people's success based on net worth. What is accumulated net worth? So each year, either your net worth is going up or going down, one of the two, you know. So this Dr. Johnson developed his doctrine based on habits of Harvard business graduates, where he said one of the most important things which he noticed in successful graduates was they made list of things to do and written goal in life, meaning what you were talking about, big idea. So he said that you cannot have that big idea in your mind. You have to have it written down as clearly as
Mhm.
possible with a lot of detail, not a general idea, but
Mhm.
specifically what do you want to
Mhm.
achieve and how are you going to achieve it. And then your daily list of things to do, prioritize, leads you to that goal. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
so this is the interesting part I want you to think of. So he said there were top 3% of the graduates that he tracked,
Mhm.
many graduates, top 3% had the net worth which was 100 times the net worth of remaining 97% combined.
Wow.
So now, can you comprehend that? It's something to
I mean,
think.
It's a lot.
it's hard to wrap my head around. Definitely.
Yeah, but it's mind-boggling, right? So meaning
Exactly.
the top 3% were 100 times more successful. Okay. So one of the most important habit they had, the 3% had a written goal. The idea that the big idea that they had was not in their head. It was on paper, written. So they could look at it, read it, and based on that, develop a list of things to do on a daily basis. So it's like having a concrete plan versus having an idea. So he said people
Yeah.
who had an idea didn't get there, but who had concrete plan written down and made a list every day, how they're going to achieve it, they achieved it. So it's a
Yeah.
very powerful habit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
It's
just
like
one
yeah.
thing you could learn to do is write things down, not in your head, on paper, so you can look at it, read it, understand it, modify it as you need to. You'll get wherever you want to go. Nobody can
Yeah.
stop you. You know.
That's
It's
very,
kind of like why.
very.
What's Anya?
Go ahead. I was gonna
You
say
said
it's kind of like when you're trying to create a business
right.
and let's just say you don't have enough money to fund your own business, all the investors and the people you're getting loans from provide a business, like they need a business plan for them to give you money. Without
Right.
that, like there's literally a written like here it is, and then they're like, okay, this is what I'm spending my money on. And I think
Right.
it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is
Okay.
all very, very fascinating because I'm sure that, the 97% of the Harvard business students that were not as successful, I'm sure they thought that they
No,
were living
they were
their,
all successful.
but not as successful as the
Not
top 3%.
because look at it this way: uh, Harvard Business School is the best business school in the world. Okay, so to be there, you're already successful. You're the top of the world, you know. But within that, so now, by the way, this is so interesting that he called this doctrine a universal doctrine, meaning that's the formula applies to the world. In
Okay.
the world, there are 3% of the people who are successful and they own or have net worth which is greater than 100 times the net worth of 97% combined. So that formula became a universal formula.
Okay,
That's how
so
things are.
right. So if we apply it to a universal scale, then
Right.
we could say that I would say 97% of people that are not as making as much as that top 3%, they would probably think that they're living their life in a very stressful way, a very hardworking and
Right.
multitasking way. So you believe that the big difference between those two sets is that one knows how to write down and attain their goals, and the other one is just
Have
working
an
a little more
idea.
blindlessly
Yeah,
towards it.
they have an idea. I mean, it's not that they're not interested,
Of
but they
course.
haven't figured out a plan of action, you know? So plan of action is the key. Yeah.
Got it.
I think it's like
Plan of
not
action is the key.
it's like not as calculated. I think they also
Uh,
have plans of action. I think it's just not as like, okay, well, if this goes wrong, then I'm gonna do this.
right, right, right,
And
right.
it's just like all previously planned. I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very, very fascinating.
Can we call
Moving
people?
on. Oh,
No,
sorry.
I was just gonna like we call people like that like nut jobs. Like if you like read the Steve Jobs book or like watch all these documentaries on like Michael Jordan and stuff, you literally think they're insane. But in reality, it's just like that's all they want to do and that's all they think about.
Yeah, just incredibly committed.
Yeah. And there's like nothing else to it for them. I think it's interesting. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Um,
So what's the next point?
so another big topic is multitasking in this chapter, with multiple things always to do and the advancement of technologies. This is the age of multitasking. So what are your guys' thoughts on multitasking? Do you do it a lot? Why or why not? Just let me know how you guys feel about multitasking.
Um, I would say I used to do it a lot. And I think I still do, just like not consciously. I was made aware of this recently where I'm not like 100% present in every moment because I'm always thinking about other things I have to do, even though like I have no idea I'm doing that. But I think overall nowadays, no. Like if I'm doing something, I'm not really doing anything else. Yeah.
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah, but it's tough though. Like even when you're doing that one or two things, you still have like 500 other things that you have to do in your mind, which is tough. But
Yeah, multitasking, the article kind of tells us it does, boil down to kind of just having more stuff on your plate and not having a clear-cut plan to get through it. Yeah, so it says that multitasking leads to much more anxiety and stress in the article.
yeah.
Moving on a little bit, this is dealing with a tough project. The article says you knew it would involve a lot of effort. Maybe you kept putting it off. Once you started it, however, perhaps finally egged on by an impeding deadline, you became engaged and the project just flowed. Has this ever happened to you guys? Or do you use this technique at all?
I mean, this kind of reminds me of like a paper that's been assigned for like 3 weeks and then you do it the night before. Um, I think, yeah, of course. Like we've all done it, I think.
Hmm.
I just like don't always. I just hate like having so many things to think about.
Definitely, definitely. I just find it so interesting that we can be stressing and worrying and fretting about a project for so long, and then you finally go to do it before the deadline, and it's like, oh, I'm doing this, and it's easy, and I'm not having too many problems,
It's like 2 hours
It's
and it's done, but every time afterward you think, oh my God, I could have done this 3 weeks ago for 2 hours and not have this.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But like, yet we all just end up doing it on the last day. Yeah. I think it's like depending on the situation. I try to get it done, but I don't know. Our mind's a weird thing. It's like, why do we put my real question is like, why do we put ourselves in that kind of situation? You know?
Yeah, that is a great question. Is it could be like our body just trying to tell us to stop doing so much, or maybe you just get satisfied from just completing that one task at a time. I don't know.
And I don't understand why we like to like, and then we say like, oh, I perform well under stressful situations. It's like you only put yourself under stressful situations, so you don't really know how you perform in the other situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most
You're
of the time
like,
the
I
stressful
don't know.
situations are ones that you create for yourself as opposed to ones that are
For
just
yourself.
inherently stressful.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're all like, oh, we perform well under stress. But it's like, I don't think so. You probably do better without it, but you provide yourself with that every time. I don't know. That's my take on it.
Very, very intriguing stuff. I feel like we could summarize a lot of the stuff we talk about with our brain is weird or our mind is weird.
It's just like, yeah,
Um,
but it's like we do it all the time. You know, we do that almost every time we have a paper due
Definitely,
or something.
because there's always more things to
Yeah.
do. There's always something else on the plate. Okay,
Yeah.
moving on. Another very big topic in this chapter that we read is being present. So, do you guys think you live in the present most of the time or not? And is this something that you would like to change?
Okay, I guess I'm answering. I don't. I don't live in the present most of the time recently. Uh, and I thought I was, but it was made aware to me that I'm not.
Really, what was
And
that like?
it was it was interesting. So I have been having like a lot of trouble sleeping lately, and I've been struggling, and I have like insane dreams, but like reality dreams. Like they're super real, super real dreams.
Cool.
And I was having like a difficult time establishing whether I'd had these dreams or were they things that had actually happened, like
Wow,
conversations and stuff.
that's
Because it was like
wild.
super mundane dreams that like, there was like one with my coach and I was like, did I talk to him about this already? And I was mentioning this to my one of my mom's friends who's a psychiatrist, and she was like, you're not in the present. You're not focusing on what people are saying when they're actually saying stuff to you. You're probably thinking about something else.
Wow.
And then like once she said that to me, I started realizing like whenever people are talking to me, I'm thinking about like literally tennis or school most of the time. And I'm
You know
really
what
not
the
listening to what
do
they're
you
saying.
know what the dreams are?
Like I remember all of them, most of them at
No, but
least.
do you know what they are? What, how do you get dreams? Where do they come from?
An altered state of consciousness. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
So your mind has conscious and subconscious.
yeah.
So dreams come from subconscious mind.
Hmm.
So when you say, well, I saw that dream, was it a dream or did I really talk to him about it?
Yeah,
And you're confused.
yeah.
So what you're not realizing that you did have a thought. You've already gone through it,
Hmm.
uh, and because you thought about it, you dreamed it.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, well, gee, which one of it is true?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I yeah. Like I think the brain plays out all these situations. I
Yeah,
obviously wanted to talk to my coach about this thing, and it
right.
came to me in a dream, and I was wondering like, did I discuss this with him already or not? And
so,
it happens. That's just like one situation that's happened to me multiple times.
so it's kind of like your mom's friend told you that you're not living in present. So what
Mhm.
happens is when you live in present, your mind is more focused. Okay, you kind of can relate to it. It's the reality.
Mhm.
But when you're drifting off all the time, someone is talking to you, you're multitasking, you're thinking about something else, and so on and so forth. So it's not very focused. It's kind of vague and subconscious, and thoughts come, thoughts go, then they become dream. You dream of it, and then you say, "Well, gee, I saw that dream. Was it real, or was it just a dream?" But I thought I already did do that. So you kind of confuse a little bit. You're
Yeah.
debating. So it happens to everybody, you know. But when you said being present, that is a good state of mind to be
Mm-hmm.
in,
Definitely.
And it's
Definitely.
not easy, none of us are experts and easy because no matter, I mean, when you're sitting in a classroom, you're listening to your professor or teacher, your mind comes and goes and comes and goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even have control over it, you know. You'll
No,
just be there and it's like, "Oh, I just spaced out for a second," you
yeah.
know. You
So
just got to
Yeah.
I'll be having dinner at home, and my wife will say, "Well, where are you?" I said, "Oh, yeah." Yeah, I know. I wasn't here. I was thinking of this. And people can tell by looking at you that you're not there. You're somewhere else.
Definitely.
Do you find though, like you are present in situations that are very intriguing to you? Like when I'm playing tennis, for example, I feel like I'm only playing tennis. Like I'm
Right.
never doing anything else.
Yeah. So your mind determines how important it is what you're doing.
Yeah, it's like prioritizing it without even
Right.
knowing it. Yeah.
Right. So when you're playing tennis, well, there are two things there. Okay. Number one, when you're playing tennis, you most likely do not have a choice because you are under a lot of pressure.
Yeah. True.
So even if you want to try to drift away and think of something else, you're going to come right back because the ball is coming at you. Forget it. I
Yeah.
got to take care of this ball. So
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of choice when you're playing tennis.
Mm-hmm.
When your mom is talking to you and trying to explain you something, you depending on how interested you are in listening to her and what she's talking about, you may or may not be there.
Yeah.
And then, and then day later, she says, "Well, Anya, I told you that. I don't remember that."
Yeah.
Well, I told you when we were having dinner. No, mom, you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, I mean, she knows for sure she told you, but
Yeah.
when she was talking to you, your mind was elsewhere. So you're both in a way right. You didn't hear it.
Yeah. It's super weird. Yeah. Stuff like that is so weird. It's like, when you have to like book an appointment something later on in the day,
Yeah,
and in the morning you're like, okay, I
yeah.
have to book this appointment, and then one week later you're like, oh my god, I didn't book the
I
appointment.
forgot.
Yeah, you forgot. Like
you
that
know,
happens.
by the way, if all the smartphones have things called notes. So you're better off just making a little note in your smartphone in your notes category
Yeah.
because what happens is when you get in the habit of making notes, you're generally less stressed because you say, well, whatever it is I'm supposed to do, I already made a note of it. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think all the time what I'm supposed to do. I have it in my notes.
Yeah.
So it kind of frees up, frees you up a little bit because you say, look, I'm in the habit of making notes. So if I am supposed to do something, I'm supposed to make an appointment, I already put it in my notes. So I have it there. And then you get in the habit of every time you get a little chance, little break, you look at your notes and say, oh, I forgot to make the appointment. And you'll do it.
Yeah.
It is very powerful. As simple as it sounds, that can transform and change your life.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very, very nice. One last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up this episode. Um, the article provides some activities and tips and tricks to help stay focused and happy in the present. Some of the examples they give are meditation, breathing, reorienting your thoughts, um, this is definitely something that we have discussed before, but what is your guys' go-to method to help you calm down or stay focused?
Definitely breathing for sure. I think it's like my go-to. It's developed as my go-to, trying to center myself, making sure my feet are on the ground, stuff like that. I want to try meditation though. I haven't tried it yet, but I really want to try what that can do. And I
So I want
think
to give,
I want to make more stable notes. I do that already. Like I already use my notes heavily, but actually like planning out every day, I feel like
yeah.
would be beneficial.
So let me give you a little uh, thing to do, which is very easy to learn. Is something called universal breathing meditation. Did I ever talk about it?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
So that is kind of breathing in at the same time it's also meditation. So what meditation is a way of focusing on something and getting away from everything else that is in your mind. Focusing or just creating a void.
Yeah.
So when you breathe 4-7-8 is kind of breathing, but because you're focusing on 4-7-8, it kind of becomes meditation because you can't think of anything else because you're focused on breathing, you're counting.
Yeah.
So that's what meditation is,
Okay.
to creating a setting where you're not thinking about other things but just focusing or unfocusing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's good. I like that. Right on,
Awesome.
Graham. Did a good job.
Thank you. Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention before we wrap up today's episode?
Anya?
No, I have no, I'm good.
Okay,
All right.
very
Well,
good.
thank you for
Sounds
the
good.
great conversation, guys, with Dr. B and Anya. I'm Graham, and thank you for joining us on the JoyScore podcast. See you guys
Awesome.
Beautiful.
next time.
Thank you. Bye bye.